uh, how do you specify foam sheathing? There's usually a particular application that you'll have in mind. One of the ones that I know is in the forefront, particularly for commercial building applications, is fire performance of foam sheathing products. And I'll mention that the code has a lot to say about that. There's been um, a lot of regulation that's applied to foam plastic products and foam sheathing in particular to ensure the safe use of the material in building construction. So the first thing I want to do is pull down the applications menu and just open up this fire performance page. And here you'll find a lot of good resources. As Mindy mentioned, you'll find things under tools and education and practical research down below. The top resources, though, are the ones that oftentimes are going to be the ones you're going to primarily be interested in. One of the big questions that are often asked, well, where do I find what assemblies with foam sheathing can be used on a particular building construction, and with what type of cladding systems, because the flame spread performance for exteriors of buildings is based on an assembly. And so when you start talking about assemblies, then you've got specific components that work together and others that don't. So how do you figure out how to determine that? And this resource here at the bottom, code compliance, and you'll find that many of these application pages will have a code compliance resource like this. And I'm going to open this one up on NFPA 285. And this takes you to another site. It's a code evaluation service, a third party that has prepared code evaluation reports for the foam sheathing committee that addresses all of their members' products and materials that would comply with a particular subject, in this case, the NFPA 285 tested assemblies. So I'm going to open up the report. In this case, I'm going to show you that you can just open up a regular PDF of it, or if you want to have a engineered sealed report, if that's of value, say for code approval purposes, then you can go that route. And let's say if you're in the state of Illinois, then you would click on that state, and it's taking a little bit of time, but then the report will open up. You can see here with a seal for the state of Illinois. But really in this case, the main thing in this report is that you'll find a listing of manufacturers of foam sheathing, a listing of their products, and then here a listing of evaluation reports. So this is not necessarily an evaluation report itself. It's a listing of product manufacturers that have evaluation reports that address NFPA 285 assemblies. And I'm not going to go down and open up any of these individual ones, but what you'll find there are specific cladding types and foam sheathing types and thicknesses that you can use for a code compliant assembly that meets the flame spread requirements of NFPA 285. So that's a very popular and useful resource. As I mentioned, there are other top resources. Here are a couple documents that just explain what the code requirements are for types 1, 2, 3, and 4 buildings. Those are the ones where you run into cases where you would need to have NFPA 285 assemblies, but not in all cases. And then type 5 buildings, which is your wood frame combustible construction. In that case, you would not have NFPA 285 tested assemblies. The area and height limits, separation distances, and things like that take care of the fire safety concerns for that type of construction. And then also at the top here is the North American Modern Building Alliance. I think that was mentioned earlier, and they have a lot of resources also on the same subject matter. That'll take you to a different website. I do want to point out one of the tools that can be useful if you're new to this subject, which is a decision tree here under Tools and Education. I'll open this up, and it's just a graphic flow chart to help you understand when you do or do not need to have an NFPA 285 tested assembly. And this, the first and most important question in the decision trees here in the middle are you building or designing a type 1, 2, 3, or 4 building? And if the answer is no, then no NFPA 285 tested assembly is required. If the answer is yes, then there's a series of other questions here that if you meet all of these criteria, then again, no, you don't need to use an NFPA 285 tested assembly. But if the answer is yes, then you do. And let me back out of this. And if the answer is yes, then in the end, where you go is to this resource I mentioned earlier, and you would go to the specific manufacturer's product that you want to specify and determine which assemblies, claddings, and things of that nature would work with your wall assembly. So it's pretty straightforward for the most part.